to the Dumb Stuff We Like podcast with Brian and Chris. What's up? What's up?
Hola, we're back and coming in with that energy, that hyphy,
Energico.
eco. Now what's up?
But anyway, um, doing good this week. Good. Not as great a news week, I would say, but
It's a
doing
pretty
good this
slow,
week. It's bang.
pretty slow
Bang.
news week, but it's the beginning of the year. A lot of the stories are
Yeah.
gonna be like really
Everything's getting pushed
trickling.
back, dude. All the games.
All the games are
Like,
getting pushed back, but to be honest, I'm okay with that. Like,
I
why
mean,
not?
I'm okay with it in the sense that I want them to dev their game so when it comes out, it's not a buggy mess. Works. I can play through the whole thing without like wild ass bugs and stuff.
Yeah,
But it's still like, oh hey, I was looking forward to putting these things or just playing these games around this time. I don't necessarily pre-order them, but it's like I expect these dates. Okay, and I'm sitting here trying to plan out my schedule around the games, and then they're like, nah, I'm sorry.
it's fine. We got plenty of games we can play right now, anyways.
I do. I just
Tag
bought
just
the
came
games.
out, and people are playing that. I
Yeah.
haven't played it yet, but I'm going to.
I need to feel like I don't know if I want to. I don't know if I want to get it. I like Dragon Ball Z a lot, but I'm not sure if I want to get it.
I'll get it, but yeah. I mean, there was like so Ubisoft came out and we're like, yeah, we're trying to work on new IPs. Basically, we're looking at all the IPs that we work on now. We're trying to come up with more original ideas and take our time instead of yearly releases.
I mean,
Ubisoft
that already
makes
slowed down
Assassin's
Assassin's Creed.
Creed. They
That already
make
slowed down.
what other games do they make? They make the Rabbids series, the Raymond series.
Yeah,
They
the
make
rabbits. What like the reason they even said that is because they just released whoa, oh man, what is it? Ghost Recon uh Blackout? Blacklist, Black Site, something. They released whatever it is and it was garbage. It was straight trash.
Did they
So-
make Watch Dogs? Is that Ubisoft?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's another series that they kind of mentioned and
Yeah, I mean, and they haven't. I mean, they even the Watch Dogs that they did make, there was at least 2 or 3 years between them, and it's been a few years. I think the last Watch Dogs came out like 16, so it's been maybe 17, but it's been like a little bit since then. So yeah, I know they like working on those series and trying to do new ideas, but like the last like that Ghost Recon was not even remotely good. Like Wildlands. It just I don't think there was like enough in it when it started, but it started to gain traction. But then the next game that they made, it was just not. It was buggy, just not good.
Did they make the Division as well?
Yeah, I think Division 2 came out and was good too. Division 1 left a bad taste in people's mouths. Like at least from when the launch happened, it got better, and then I guess they were able to like port a lot of it over to Division 2. But it's still people are once you've lost them, it's over. Effectively,
That's
like
true.
Titanfall, really. Titanfall 1 not having a story sat with people the wrong way, and then there wasn't like a bunch. That was exclusive as well. That was exclusive to the fucking Xbox. I mean, think about it because I know we were talking about stuff earlier, but that was exclusive. And then that really didn't help them. And then you get to Titanfall 2, and the story for Titanfall 2 is amazing. By the way, it's fucking amazing. But then it's still just people are like, oh, make a Titanfall 3. It's like people didn't play the first 2. What? Why would somebody spend the money on that? I mean, and you look at what game, Jedi Fallen Order. People love that and shit. Like yeah. Oh, Respawn makes good games. Yeah, they have since whatever. Like I think Titanfall was their first good game. They made good games the whole time. People just weren't buying them. Star Wars is enough of a property like established. Like Titanfall's a new IP, so people aren't attached to it, and it was exclusive to the Xbox, which is losing this console generation. Like you had a bunch of things going against you. And so you try to come in with Titanfall 2, and people are like, I got other stuff to play. And Call of Duty did what Titanfall had done already. So people had already seen that in another game and were just like, yeah, I'm good on that. I'm good on that whole thing, really. So
Titanfall was cool, not in and of itself. Like, unfortunately, is more of a stepping stone into other game success.
Yeah.
Because it introduced that verticality aspect to the shooters.
Yeah.
For the longest time, shooters were you were on the ground. You could get up
and
to
they had
high places, but
yeah.
that was always like a sniping type deal.
Yeah.
But then Titanfall introduced like, oh, you can run up and down walls, you can do like jumping, you can be like in jetpack kind of flying kind of
Yeah.
state as well. So it introduced that aspect of shooters. And I even remember they had other games like what's that bullet something game where you could like parkour and slide around stuff. That was the big thing that they showed off. A lot of people bought this type of game. It wasn't Bulletstorm, but it's a game that came out that was like a class based like TFT type game, but it was a shooter and
We're talking about Apex?
no, this was a while ago. This was like back by Titanfall, maybe before Titanfall. Because it
I'm not
was
sure.
introducing
I'm not sure. Oh,
Mirror's
Brink.
Edge. Yes, Brink.
Brink. Yeah.
Introduced that like it tried to introduce verticality too. So there was like stepping stones.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Titanfall was just one of those things where it had a moderate amount of success, but it's a AAA title technically.
On the losing console, if that had come out on PlayStation, I feel like they would have had like significantly more
Probably.
clout, like realistically.
I
Like
mean,
that
was still
that
back
was a
when PS3 was still struggling though.
no. It was that was a PS. I mean, that was this generation. That was PS4.
Titanfall.
Yeah, Xbox One. Yeah,
Was it?
yeah. It was early because when I'm thinking about the games because the first like Call of Duty to come out on 360 or like 360 Xbox One was Ghosts and it was garbage. Like and then Titanfall came out on that system and then they started doing Advanced Warfare and Infinite Warfare, some I don't know, whatever the other ones where they started doing stuff like this. So that was all this generation.
Yeah, it was ported to the 360, but yeah, it was on the Xbox One.
Yeah, and so and that was the jank to them. If they would have gotten that out on PlayStation, I feel like they would have like sold through a significant like larger amount of copies of Titanfall 2 and stuff like that.
I mean, possibly
like,
it still did something grander than itself.
Yeah,
in regards
I mean, and
to
then
shooters,
you get
that
Apex.
genre.
It created the universe of Apex and like all the stuff they can do with that. I haven't really played Apex in a bit, but I'm not a first person shooter fan on PC. I used to play a lot on consoles, but on PC, I just play random stuff. I'm not a real shooter fan on PC.
I kind of ebb and flow, but yeah. So I mean, Respawn made Fallen Order, but even Fallen Order, I don't know. I would lean that more towards that it's EA's fault as to why Fallen Order is the way it is, because that game is still buggy as
It's jank. When he's watching that guy run, his arms are like almost not attached to him. It's real weird.
It's really broken.
It's jank. It's jank as shit.
There's stuff that you can hard break that game.
Yeah,
it would crash when I would play it, and like I'm not playing like a day one version. I waited a while.
Right.
Patched. So to me that means that game was even more broke.
But, I think people had decided that they were like. You see the game, and you can play it. People already decided whether or not they're going to like it or not. People are playing it on stream, playing on hard mode. Though I mean, the game even on the hardest difficulty really wasn't that difficult. Not as difficult as a true Dark Souls.
No.
Like Soulsborne S game. Sekiro had already come out. Like it wasn't recreating the thing like the thing different things that Sekiro had done and stuff like that.
I did have fun with
like,
it, but there were parts
I mean, it's a
of
game
it
to
that
have
felt
fun with.
empty
really.
Or like I'm opening chests, but the chests are just for cosmetics, and the cosmetics aren't even that good. So like,
and then I think even like the almost gloom and doom of the Soulsborne type games, and even Sekiro is like the world isn't a nice place up B. I mean, you have the Empire and stuff running around in Fallen Order, but it has like there's a hope type thing going on in the game that's not indicative.
There's like discovery and it's fun.
Yeah,
like puzzles and
what's the name is like, oh, this game is here to kick your ass, so get through it if you can. Like that is more of it's presenting more as a challenge to you than just hey, have this fun adventure where you're a Jedi guy.
It depends too. Like hardcore Dark Souls fans, like I got into the Dark Souls community like pretty deep. Back in the day, and there's so much lore, so much in that game outside of the gameplay that when you start to really peel those layers back, that world that they build becomes like 1,000 times more interesting than any game world I've ever immersed myself in. Like it's that in depth. It's just the problem is, I don't even know if it's a problem. It's the way it's designed. All that stuff is like you have to read in character dialogues that aren't forced. Like you can walk away from a character while they're talking to you, and like whenever a character is like speaking and you can just walk away from him, it's always going to lend itself to be like, I'm not really listening. And then like, you can kill any character you want in the game, NPC wise. Like they'll fight you if you start fighting them. So that cuts some of the lore off. You have to get lore from item descriptions.
Right.
There's a story, but it only is dependent on not a stringent way to play it, but like a very kind of specific route. Whereas Dark Souls is so open that's like there are people who play the game and are like, I don't know where I'm supposed to go because the game's not telling me. It's like, it is, but it's not. Like, it's very...
It's not... It's presenting you with the options, but it's not saying, hey, go here.
Yes.
It's not putting the big arrow on your screen
and it,
telling you which way to go.
I think it makes it more immersive. It makes the game lonelier, which is the feel that you're supposed to get when you play these games. So, there is something there, but, I mean, we're not doing a Dark Souls review, but just comparing the games, like, I definitely prefer Dark Souls, regardless of the combat mechanics. But Fallen Order, I like what they try to do. But again, I think the big publisher behind it kind of pushing a release date really kind of caused it to have the issues it caused. I don't think it was Respawn's fault that the game was as laggy, buggy, broken as it was.
I mean,
or empty even as it was. I think they were forced to put stuff in the game.
I attribute parts of that to them. I mean, because they're deving the game. But initially, like, how they talk about how the game came into existence anyway was like they had an idea for a game, and then EA was like, okay, make that Star Wars. Okay, but make it Star Wars. Like, so I mean, I'm interested in like the story they initially wanted to tell, like, for their games. And I mean, EA owns Respawn. That, I mean, we'll get to talks later, but that would have been a great pickup. Like, if you were in time at the right place, that would have been an amazing pickup. From studio, yeah, that would have been a amazing pickup.
That would have been pretty good. I mean,
yeah, dude. After Titanfall 1, that would have been
exclusives for Xbox before. And that's what we just talked about.
Yeah,
so it's it really depends. You have to have, unfortunately, lightning in a bottle is a factor. You have to have a IP that's legitimately good. You have to capture a gameplay style that evolves with your audience.
Right.
And, like, you have to capture all these things that happen at once, and then have the foresight to be like, this company can do it. Let me buy them. Like, that's the thing with, like, Santa Monica, who's kind of always been a PlayStation studio anyways, since, like, way back in the day. So, like, when it comes to PlayStation buying companies as exclusives, Xbox, to be honest, that stuff is almost, like, I think it's pretty unpredictable. I'm sure that the guys in that industry can see that far into the future. When I look at, like you said, like Respawn, but they technically were making exclusives, and it just wasn't their fault. It was Xbox's whole marketing that came out that year that was garbage.
Right.
And so...
But you'd be like, yeah, this studio headed by these people who are folks from Infinity Ward. Like, of the Call of Duty studios, Infinity Ward is by far my favorite. Like, a lot of people like Treyarch because they do the zombies and do like that. I was never like really into the zombies thing, so Infinity Ward games were the games that I was looking for, that I was looking forward to. And those, like, the people from there, so you can see like the lines of that transitioning in, like, through the games. Like, even, I guess people even see that for like Bungie and Destiny. They can see like the soul, like, pass forward into the game, where you're like, people like Destiny, like the farming and stuff for loot is whatever, but like when you go to like the just firefights, like matchmaking, like that's where it's at. Like, and they were good at making that. So, and that's good in this game. So that's definitely a thing. But that was the intro of the podcast, by the way, guys.
We're gonna be talking about a lot of video games on this episode.
Yeah, this is a video game podcast.
Hope you guys are into that, because that's what's going on in this episode. It's going to be a big video game episode for us. But before we do that, we got some news headlines. Just some quick stuff we're going to get through real quick.
Yeah.
Say quick twice.
Don't knock it out. Captain Falcon Winter Soldier show.
Captain America show is going to come out. Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I wonder if they're actually going to, like, get to calling him Captain America.
I think maybe eventually. But
is it right? They'll close the show, Captain. Fucking some shit like that. But there's set photos revealed a knockoff Captain America. What? No one can be Chris Evans.
Yeah.
No, but no, he's another actual just Marvel character, because of course there's a Marvel character that exists as a knockoff Captain America. There's at least 5, probably, like, realistically. This is U.S. Agent.
Yep, U.S. Agent. Former vet. He's a soldier, just like Captain America, but typically in the story he's more of a recent pull. Oops, sorry about that. More of a recent pull in it that he's not a man out of time, per se. And his whole character is built off of, this is when patriotism is like the extreme version of it, like the blinding.
Right.
like blindly following your country, like that kind of
So like the
patriotism.
blindly following the orders, like the people above you and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They're like, this is what we want you to do, and you're just like, all right,
You're
whatever.
doing it without questioning because you quote unquote love your country.
Right.
So it's like the evil side of that essentially, and they're gonna shine that through with U.S. Agent. So the internet was like up in a buzz, because people were like, I can't believe they replaced Captain Evans and pretending like people wouldn't notice
Captain
with some
Evans.
random Joe, and his uniform doesn't even look good, and blah blah blah. And it's just like, yo, that's a you do 2 seconds of research, man. Like
I
that's
think
U.S.
it's
Agent, bro.
interesting, like how like far that is, like Marvel movies and stuff has penetrated to the point where people are like, I can't believe you do this when this character has like your character exists and he has existed for easily before like the cinematic universe started, like if not decades longer realistically.
Right.
It was like, oh, you create this character, dude, this character is older than you. Like, what are you talking about? Like this, like if you'd have picked up a comic book the day you were born, you could have seen this guy. What are you talking about?
It's very
Like,
strange. And
yeah.
what's funnier is like that conversation being had where it's like, oh, that's a knockoff Captain America, and then the answer is like, yes, like, but it's
that's
yes, because
literally
that's
his point.
the character from the comic who is
Right.
a knockoff Captain America.
Right.
So, but yeah, set photos revealed U.S. Agent, so it's cool. He's actually holding Cap's shield, or what looks to be Cap's shield. So, my money is on the fact that the government is backing this particular character, gave him a suit,
Right.
maybe even gave him some kind of power set. It's not clear.
Right.
MCU always kind of does a little bit different than the comics, so he might have a version of the super soldier serum, or he might just be a
Very well trained.
strong, well-trained guy. But he is. It's definitely interesting to see this kind of build from, I guess, Civil War, really, because
Yeah.
you have the government stepping in, we're saying, hey, these guys are criminals, which would be Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and them not wanting a criminal of the state of the United States to be the next Captain America, them pulling that away from him, even though
Right.
Steve Rogers passed it on, give it to their own creation, essentially, who would do America's bidding, no questions asked. So that part makes sense if that's the case.
Right.
That's kind of where I think that's me speculating.
Right.
I think that's probably the strongest
One
amount
of the
speculation
stronger
we have.
ties to what will be happening
Yeah.
realistically, because it's like you're like you said, Cap, Falcon, Winter Soldier didn't like sign the Sokovia Accord, so they
Mhm.
became fugitives and stuff like that. Really, because vigilantes.
Mhm.
And you have this guy who effectively would work for the government, Senate, whoever, and just
Right.
respond to them. When I'm pretty sure most of the team, like now, like even Rhodey was like one of the last people
gonna
like
get
left holding
court-martialed.
out, and he was like, yeah, in
That's the beginning of Endgame.
yeah, beginning Endgame, where he was like, arrest this man. He's like, yeah, whatever, just hung up because the world was really in danger. So I'm pretty sure from that, I'm not sure what they don't really get into what played out in like the 5 years and all that type of stuff, but
Right.
more than likely, once everyone's back, they're still angry because you saved their lives and stuff like that, but they're still salty. So it still's like, oh yeah, now all of you are fugitives, like, or some
Yeah.
wild stuff. I mean,
And
they're not
then-
gonna be able to get into Wakanda and do nothing to them, but everyone else is still like probably be on the edge.
And I mean, just the way that Captain America works in general.
Yeah.
His name is Captain America. It'd be weird for the U.S. government not to vie for some sort of power
Right.
out of that character, that title.
You know actual Cap isn't around, so you create your own Captain America
Exactly.
realistically.
Somebody who can control from the ground floors.
Right.
So yeah, that's kind of where we're at for Captain America, Winter Soldier, Falcon, Winter Soldier, whatever the series is going to be called on Disney
Yeah,
Plus.
this is Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's what it's gonna be called.
We also have some other news. There's some Star Wars news. The Clone Wars TV show, season 7, the final season. They got another full trailer that dropped. This is a pretty long trailer actually.
Oh yeah.
And there was a lot of Darth Maul and a lot of Ahsoka, a lot of leading into that series where we're gonna see them fight. My problem with it is that they've shown in Rebels. I think Rebels was a mistake showing Darth Maul show up.
Yeah.
I think because now you're like, well,
I mean,
Obi's gonna take care of him.
really, I mean, but
Stakes aren't
realistically,
that
even with
high.
that, you see, like them going back and showing. I mean, it's a problem. It's a Star Wars problem. You show the end before you show the beginning.
Yeah.
The original series, like you show the end, and then you just go back and all this stuff happens before that. Really, none of this matters because we all know where it goes.
Yeah.
Like none of these these characters are there. They chose the characters they chose to accentuate.
It's hard
in the
to
thing,
create stakes.
Yeah.
And even
So-
with Ahsoka,
yeah.
she shows up in Rebels.
Right.
And it's like, so she's not gonna die either. So it's you could
Like,
play on the
it's-
fact that maybe she'll get killed by Darth Maul, but now we know
Right.
she doesn't. So it's gonna be really
It's
tough
real. It's
to build
it,
stakes into the series. But
it turns into thing. But I like that they. I think this is going to be a lot more war focused with the clones because you get some of what happens to the clones. You get what happens to Rex, but I don't think you see what happens to Cody and a lot of other people.
well, they said that this happens almost not. So it's kind of concurrent with Revenge of the Sith. They said
Okay.
a lot of this season will take place during Revenge of the Sith,
Okay,
which is why they had so many shots of Anakin kind of
like looking
dark
angry.
side-ish.
Oh, okay, I can see
being
that.
more
I
angry.
mean, though he has his moments in the Clone Wars anyway.
Right,
He-
and so this could, I mean, a lot of the trailer also kind of gave off the whole Order 66 because the clones kind of had this like, there's a clone voiceover I think in the trailer where they're basically alluding to the fact that they might have these things built into their systems
right
that can force them
to do stuff.
to do things, and that's kind of alluded in the trailer, which
And
is
I mean-
an awesome angle to take. That's I love seeing stuff from the 501st perspective or the clones perspective in general. So I'm pretty excited for the new final season. Really,
Oh yeah, that's definitely the Clone Wars is probably like the Clone Wars, the animated series, like the full series, is probably some of the best. Like both of those, that and Rebels are some of the best Star Wars I have seen.
yeah, I
Like-
can't speak to Rebels, but I can definitely agree with you on Clone Wars itself. It's the best Star Wars media.
Yeah.
I've consumed in the last, well, really since the I would say the original trilogy.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. That's how strongly I feel about this.
'Cause it's-
better than the prequel. Better than the sequels.
It's solid. Like the start of it was a little. I mean, because it's coming off the movie, so the start
out
of
of
it's a little
cartoon
from Ahsoka's perspective. So it's kind of kids show. But once you hit the season 2, all of that's gone. Like it blows all of that away. Grows up like basically Ahsoka's thrown in a war. It's showtime. Like stuff starts popping off. You get a lot more stuff from the clones. Like episodes without Jedi in general. It's like just clones doing clone stuff. It picks up and it's good stuff.
Yeah, it's
Definitely.
It's exciting, and we're both excited for it, and we'll probably do full on reviews for when it comes out. But that was it for the Star Wars stuff. I'll let you do the Xbox part, and then I'll take this next one. So this is personally just for me, really.
Right.
But I'm pretty hype about this. Taco Bell nacho fries are coming back, and I said that like not excited enough, but you guys don't understand, okay? If you got the nacho fries when they came out, then you understand why this is such a hype thing, all right? They came out with the nacho fries that had like this nacho kind of cheese crust, like beer. It was like a beer battered fry. That like a kind of texture on the fry, French fry. But then it had like a nacho kind of cheese thing going on, and then they gave you a cup of nacho cheese with it. And
Damn.
that's like the greatest thing ever. I'm like, why didn't they have this since the beginning of Taco Bell? I don't understand. These are the best fries I've ever had at a fast food joint. Like, that's how strongly I felt about them.
Dang.
And now they're bringing them back. And
Glowing
not only are they
recommendation.
bringing them back, but the twist, and it's probably going to be limited time, but the twist is their buffalo chicken fries. I don't know. Look, I know you're probably like, that sounds disgusting, or like, that's too much. It's Taco Bell, dude. Like, they can literally do anything. Like, it's
Anything is
it's-
possible.
anything is possible at Taco Bell. That's what they really should change their thing to. It's like Taco Bell, anything is possible.
They did a triple double crunch wrap, son.
I mean, they literally will make anything you want because they have all the
All the
shitty
stuff.
ingredients in their
Yeah, man.
restaurants. But that's just my little Taco Bell hype. Maybe I'll find a little plug for some fast food news. We'll see. I don't know.
Right.
Probably not. But
See what we
you
can
know,
do.
get hype. You know, look out for some of those nacho cheese fries.
Right. So, and in other news, said the Xbox Series X won't have like launch exclusives. I mean,
Correct.
which
We
no-
kind of already
which no one was really. I guess I don't. If you were surprised by that, you haven't been paying
a
attention.
little bit out of the loop.
realistically. And I was just thinking like this console generation is going to be different than I think almost anything we've experienced. But this before like the launch of this console generation is going to be extremely different because now people are assessing that how like serious people are about backwards compatibility. Microsoft's been doing their stuff to make games backwards compatible. Sony's definitely looking at not having to use the PlayStation Now service to give you backwards compatibility to the games. They want you to be able to take whatever games you have on PS4 and play them on PS5, so you don't have to start from nothing with your library of games. Which is like, because if you aren't launching with like not even that, like even if your launch isn't like really great, but there are a lot of good games come out. Like there are still like even the games like we spoke about the games, a lot of games getting pushed back. Like if those games still come out later in the year, but they're still backwards compatible, you can still buy your new hardware and still play those games. Then you're sitting in a good spot.
Yep.
But because if you couldn't, then people would like, well, I got games for days to play now. I'll buy one of these next year. Like so, being able to actually do that, provide a better experience. I'm really not sure how. I know Microsoft themselves have said like a lot of their games, like at least for the first year, like almost everything that comes out for the Series X is supposed to work for like the Xbox One X and the other Xbox One and stuff. Yeah. So it's like that's gonna get weird, and I'm not sure how long Sony's gonna hold on to theirs. Probably less time, realistically. They'll probably have something, if not at launch, and then the first 6 months that's straight PlayStation PS5 exclusive. Like I don't doubt it. I mean, in just because nature of the beast. Like we understand like you want to move the new hardware. You're a business, realistically. You're not making a bunch of money off the hardware, you're making a bunch of money off software, but you still want to move their new hardware. So you'll make that. I think that they'll cut ties earlier with the first exclusive. I mean, they're saying like they'll have like all their games from here on out will be exclusive, but I'm saying like they'll hit with that first title that won't work for anything else before. And no doubt it'll be an exclusive to that system. I mean, and they've had a lot of success with exclusive this generation. Yeah. So no doubt that they'll have something, whether it'll be a new IP or something or a follow up to something. What I would, if I could guess, I would say Horizon Zero Dawn 2. Like that would be your first game to hit. I'm not sure how long it's been since Horizon came out, but I think it came out before God of War, so it's been long enough for that. Like that would work as a solid drop in there for that slot.
I think a new IP. I would put my money on a new IP. Being exclusive, just based off of past metrics.
Yeah.
Every time that a system was shown off at a E3 or a game convention, like before the system dropped, like during that holiday season, they always launched it with some, I mean, realistically garbage like IP. Xbox has had better luck, I think, with, I guess what you would call a launch title. Like Sunset Overdrive was actually a decent game,
right?
But nobody really cared, like because of the way Xbox One was advertised. So,
and I think that killed like several game series and threw off other like lines of greatness happening, like how the Xbox One was marketed, and then the games you get games that aren't bad per se, but it's like no one's over here playing games, so it's just like, yeah, what am I going to do with that? Sunset Overdrive and Titanfall both like really in that sitting by themselves in that thing where it's like, yeah, you had solid exclusives. Like, I mean, people attribute like, oh, you losing the console cycle to exclusives. I mean, that's a problem you had, but there was also other things that were not going your way even before your thing was available on the shelf. You were already looking real bad.
I think the biggest thing that I'm going to be happy about with this generation, and it is yet to be seen, is it seems like that they're moving not away from VR, but like they realize that yes, VR is the future, but it's like it's still a little bit away.
Yeah, we're still, and I think we'll lean into it more because basically they're just strapping on this extra hardware to be able to handle, like, okay, now I can push this much more in VR.
It's possible. I mean, yeah, that's what I said. It remains to be seen. It's just I haven't I haven't read enough or seen enough that would indicate that VR is what they're gonna push this year
Yeah.
with
Oh
the
yeah. Not.
console
I mean, not
releases.
probably not in the immediate future. I'd say maybe 2022. You start seeing stuff like that once your install base is there. You because VR on almost at any level, really, except like on PC, has taken off anywhere. You advertising VR with your new hardware before it's even out gets kind of shaky, realistically. I mean, and the real thing for PlayStation would be, I mean, I know their headset's not has the greatest visual fidelity, but allowing the PSVR that exists now to run on the new hardware, like being able to say, hey, you can play whatever VR games you have backwards compatible, whatever, but you can run them at so much more frames because you have so much more power, so you can provide the games a better experience with those games, even with the hardware. That would be definitely a move to make. Um,
Interesting.
realistically, and then like on PC, from the Oculus to the next headset, you just offer a better headset for people who have and let's take advantage of the higher resolution, but better controllers, whatever. I mean, you could do that. You can move stuff like that where somebody who does have PSVR and likes to play it can be like, oh hey, you have a better headset. Oh shit, I get that. And people who don't or haven't tried it can be like, oh hey, I can hop on. I can hop on this train. Like I mean, something's going to come outside of this normal hand-on controller gameplay. It every year it happens. Whether it was PlayStation Move, fucking the PlayStation Eye camera, like
iToy?
there's always something
I had an iToy
that
on the
comes out of
PlayStation.
that. So it's like there's going to be something eventually. It'll probably be 2022 or maybe later than that. But yeah, something will come of that, no doubt.
Yeah, I mean, I'm tempered excitement, I guess.
I don't know what Microsoft's gonna do though. That's the thing about because they went balls to the wall with Kinect this last time. I don't even know if they'll I don't know if they're gonna do it at all. Like really, realistically, I don't know if they're gonna do it at all.
Well, I think both Sony and Xbox had to really readjust because the last E3s, last few,
Yeah.
have always been pushing more like, hey, this is your media center for your living room. This isn't just a game because
I
for
mean,
whatever
or
reason, both companies,
near the beginning of the console cycle, yes.
both companies
Microsoft
pushed.
killed that because it was killing them.
I remember they were like NFL, you can
Right?
watch it, and
Yeah.
then people were like, bro, where are my games? Like,
I don't even know actually another thing that happened this week is there's a leak of a prototype Xbox One X that someone took pictures of and they had pictures of the back and there was no HDMI pass through. But it was a prototype, but there was no like pass through like usually like hey, I'm gonna plug my DVD box into this and you can watch TV. It's possible that the next Xbox may not be able to watch TV on the damn thing, realistically, unless you have a service or something like that. But you may not be able to just do TV pass through anymore. They're maybe abandoning that wholesale, possibly.
I mean, which would be good because I think and I think Phil Spencer kind of came in and course corrected a lot of
Yeah.
that. But it was even PlayStation was notorious for it because they released a PS TV,
Yeah.
which went just like kind of under the radar. But they were both pushing like we want to be the one thing you have in your living room that is like a mainstay,
Right.
like you have a DVD player, or you would have had a DVD player in the day or a VHS player in the day. We want you to also have the PlayStation or the
Right.
Xbox to be a mainstay thing. Like you buy your TV, then you buy like your sound system, and then you're like, I'm gonna buy one of these systems, and it's like,
And then
yeah,
instead of
but you
turning on
don't
your cable, you just turn
understand.
this on.
Like it's a gaming system.
Right.
Your audience, majority of your audience, are gamers. So it's weird when you're like, "Wait, yo, you can watch the NFL," and it's like, there's a cross section, obviously.
Right.
You're male.
Where you can picture your NFL game in the middle of you playing Call of Duty.
Yeah, like I'm playing a game and I'm watching the game, but that cross section is not as large as people
No.
who are just generally just buying the system to play video games.
People are ADD enough, and they want to be ADD in the video game, not watching a whole television
And
show.
like, well, the thing is weird. Like, yeah, I might have YouTube pulled up on my phone while I'm playing Call of Duty,
Right.
but even then, it's not like I have a YouTube app on my PlayStation, and I don't think I would use it if it was like picture in picture. I don't think I'd pull it up while I'm playing the game.
Right.
It's just, it's not something I would want to do or even think to do. But there was such a push to make these things your center media centers. You're
Right.
pretty
Fucking
much a
Switch,
media
Switch
server.
launched and didn't even have YouTube on it.
Yeah, which was insane to me, and I was like, "What is wrong with you guys? Like,
Why don't you
this
have
is
YouTube on your Switch?
portable. It's
I
a
mean,
tablet.
yeah, it being a portable tablet without YouTube.
That's insane.
Yeah,
But the other systems is whatever. I mean, I do use it with a PS4 at least. I do use it as my media center because my living room. I mean, the way it's set up, I have a TV, I have a sound bar, I have the sound system, and I have my PlayStation. And my PlayStation has Netflix, YouTube, Hulu, Verve. It has all my streaming services. And I think
Spotify, Pandora, whatever.
it has everything. And that's the thing is like, I don't even realize that it has become my media center because I use it so much that it doesn't register. And the other thing too, like it wasn't ever advertised, at least on Sony's part, as like, this is a media center for your living room. It's like we do games. I've done it again. I am so sorry, guys. We do games, and then we'll release apps on it, and you can play. And the apps have gotten better over time too. Like they used to be pretty crappy. I mean, the browser is still crappy, but realistically, I'm not sitting in my living room trying to browse the internet. Like I have a cell phone. So I don't know. Like I think that was kind of good. I think it's always good to have that stuff available, but not advertise it as your main component.
Right. Like you enough to don't get in your own way with these features.
Right.
Like your features are available, but don't get in someone's way to do whatever you're trying to do. Just like make this like, if somebody thinks like, I'd like to be able to listen to Pandora. I wonder if this has a Pandora app on it. And they search and it's there and it works and that's great. But don't front load a lot of that stuff. I mean, Netflix, yeah, I can see. But PlayStation 3, 4, I mean, even PlayStation, I know PlayStation 3 and like even 360 at a point for a lot of people, once Netflix starts popping, were Netflix machines.
Yeah.
Like that's what they existed for.
Yeah.
Like just because it's like, oh hey, I don't have a smart TV. Bam. I can media center it up with those apps on my television, bang it out. And that was a great spot to be in realistically for those systems, especially I imagine the back end that would have pushed a lot, because before Chromecast was hyper popping, Roku and all this other stuff like that, or you had this device in your house that you may or may not have played games on depending on who you were or anymore or whatever you were doing, but now bam, we got Netflix here.
Yeah, it's true. I've had friends who weren't gamers who were like, hey, should I buy a PlayStation or should I buy an Xbox, or can you go with me to Best Buy? And I'd ask them like, oh, like, are you trying to buy video games or play video games out? They're like, no, I just heard you could play Blu-rays on it and Netflix.
Right.
And like, to me, I was like, are you out of your mind? You're about to pay this much money for this thing. But it's like, I guess this is what they've been told, or like they see.
And I mean, realistically, in that situation, you didn't have a Blu-ray player or like a smart TV, that device hits that cross section like solidly,
right?
Like versus me buying you a Blu-ray player and like Chromecast or something like that. I could buy a single device. I mean, depending like where you were in the cycle, the price, but like this is a single device where if you want to watch Blu-rays, you come here, and if you want to watch Netflix, you come here. It's the same thing, It's the same thing, really. And with pass-through on the systems, you should watch TV too. Like you basically turn this on, it does all of it.
Cable box, yeah.
Yeah, they come with like remotes and like actual remotes and stuff like that. You can do all of that there, and that's like I think getting out of your own way, like lends more than like advertising these features like that. Like if somebody looks at the back and it's like it has pass-through on it, then like basically like 2TV from cable box. They're smart. They can work it out. They're like, oh shit, I can pass through, and then they'll just do that. And then instead of you being like, hey, you need to make this media center everything in your house. I can't believe you haven't done this. What are you doing? Why are you not doing this? Like,
well, the other major problem is that they always use E3 as their like major press conference kind of deal.
Yeah. Just press conferences in like the summer like that.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's like E3 is one for industry, so a lot of people already are following this stuff.
Right.
And
the news people.
It's gamers who are watching the streams.
Right.
It's not your average consumer. So if you're pushing for these features that an average person would go, oh, it's a Blu-ray player, like over the fact that, oh, it's a new console that plays my games that I want to play, like it doesn't make sense to show it off at E3. This is a media center that also plays games. It's like, no, you should have said this is a game player that also
Also-
has media apps. Like,
Right.
why would you advertise it at E3? Advertise it at CES as that, or advertise it on the news, like
Right.
you go on Good Morning
Somewhere
America
else.
and advertise it as Media
Good
Center.
Morning
It
America.
doesn't make any sense, dude. Go on the Ellen Show and do that. Don't
Right.
do it at E3.
At E3,
Electronic Entertainment Expo.
Expo.
That's where you want to do that.
I mean, and even speaking of E3 and like the shows that people put
The
on,
dying art form.
right? So yeah, E3. What I mean, which is interesting, like that. E3 is like the biggest, and it's dying, but the other shows, PAX, Gamescom, like other stuff, still like pop off. But a lot of those other shows are really more about other developers that like or smaller developers. Realistically, E3 is
They're about developers, and they also have more of a focus on the
right.
E3's
Wasn't it
always
was
been
like-
about industry, but it's
Like
been
industry and stock type
it's
shit. Oh, this is
concealed.
good. Yeah,
it's concealed behind the reveals.
yeah.
So gamers think it's for them when it's no, dude. It's
No.
for stocks. Like
But this makes sure my stock prices are solid.
100% about a business, but
Stonks.
my stonks.
But-
my stonks.
So, but still, like even I think it's cool that I'm still like on that PlayStation doesn't do a show there. Realistically, I would appreciate if almost with all the shows were pre-recorded. Even PlayStation's other show was the last show they did, even with like they did two things that were like interactive with people, like the reveal of The Last of Us 2, and then I think it was Ghost of Tsushima is what
Yeah.
the other game was, like with the flute guy. But
Flute guy,
everything
yeah.
after that was just recorded. It just went,
Yep.
push play and like go, and then you realize that having people talking, interacting with people, no one cares about that. No one who's not there cares about that, and most people aren't there. So just don't waste all that money. Get your trailers squared, ready, push play, and then just let it ride.
Nintendo learned that lesson a long time
Yeah.
ago.
And Nintendo puts more production in there. They have people talking, switches, like commercials, all that stuff like happening inside their thing. But they also realize that I don't need to be here renting out a venue,
risk
trying to
having
configure
everything
all
go
of this,
wrong and-
right? All that crap.
Turn your cell phones off. It's interfering with the way my Wiimote works.
Bro, I was things like that where some trying to show off some device and like there's just too much interference. Like,
All right, I'm sorry. I'm gonna need Shigeru Miyamoto, the creator of Mario.
Yeah.
Shigeru Miyamoto-san, the
Miyamoto-san.
creator of Mario and Zelda and Metroid. He was on stage showing off the new Zelda game, which was like supposed to do 1-to-1 with Link. It was Twilight Princess or Twilight Sword
I remember that.
or
Dude.
Skyward Sword. Yeah, Skyward Sword.
On the Wii?
Yeah, and he was like
Yeah.
showing it off with the Wii Motion Plus, and he was supposed to do a horizontal slash, and Link was like, yeah, and Link kept like jumping forward and doing like a vertical slash, like a from the top
The
down,
chop.
and then so he was like, oh, it's supposed to go horizontal, it's not really working right now. So then he kept doing it, and it wasn't working, and he was about to get killed by like. It's
Right.
like a plant or something, like a Deku plant.
Yeah.
And so then he was just like, okay, well, maybe it's the interference. So then they had everybody in the first, like, front two rows, like, just turn their cell phones off. They asked them to turn them off
Right.
completely. They blamed the audience for having cell phone interference like it was on an airplane or something. And then when they did that, people were, like, laughing and stuff because it's live.
Right.
And then he was like, chotto matte ne. It's like, basically, it's just like, oh, wait a minute, it's just not working. Like, and like, it's to me, it's like the funniest thing ever. But
Right.
I'm sure to them and their stockholders, they're like,
Yeah, it's like big yikes, my guy.
Yeah,
What's going on?
someone is gonna be like fired.
Right.
So,
You didn't test this beforehand?
so yeah, it was. I mean,
So
stuff
I
like
mean,
that
and,
you don't want to happen. So
Right.
why risk it?
and I'd like if a lot more shows were pre-recorded because I mean, Microsoft like balls out for their shows, but there's so much shit going on. I don't need you to pull this fucking $300,000 Porsche out on stage just to be like, hey, this car is in Forza.
It's made out of Legos.
Like I don't like.
Man,
I don't
care, dude.
Like, bro, I give zero shits about that car. I play Forza, but I don't give zero fucks about that car. Like what? Like that's what I'm saying. If I saw a game, this car in the game, what am I supposed
It's
to do
really
with that?
weird, right?
Like-
Like everybody who plays this game will get this car in game. You're like,
Right.
would we have gotten that car in game if you didn't show it?
Right.
Yes. Okay.
Just do that. do that one.
So you had someone build this. Someone's in the back, like, bro, I spent like hours.
That, and I think I want to say they did that this year and last year, but wait, no, I think. Okay, I'm trying to process. I'm trying to think about what happened. I remember seeing. I remember seeing a like a really high end car made out of Legos, and I know that they just put Legos in Forza Horizon, but I'm not sure if that was what happened last year. I think it was just a Porsche last year. It wasn't like a Lego. I don't think it was. I don't think they had a Lego Porsche on stage. I'm like, the Lego Porsche I could have flexed with, but still, it's not a video game. So I was like, what am I supposed to do with this? And then they do like other stuff that they have, other things like that people have as like at their conference as well. Like even in their gameplay trailers, once people shut up and the game starts rolling, where you can see it, they have the Division is one of the most notorious for this, that in-game audio of people talking how no one talks online, which people are like, all right, you almost would be better just having no audio at all.
It's almost actors.
Yeah,
actors playing
video games and like saying stuff. No one. Oh, check that out. Oh, it's a sweet gun. Yeah, no one's saying this. Like you can't have actual chat.
You can't have people who are on there.
So I'm just like, don't say anything. Just don't say nothing.
I don't know if nothing.
I mean, that's what, and what is worse is like, would nothing be better? Like, it's like I don't think it would be, because it'd be less eerily quiet. Y'all are coordinating in reality, but it's like I know people don't talk like this.
Well, so you see them
unless you're Stone Mountain 64. No one's talking like this. No one's coordinating attack. Taking shots on the left, 20 yards, like really doing out military command. Stone Mountain is notorious for that. He has YouTube videos
12 o'clock.
He's doing like legit call outs.
Look, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna pop a smoke and then I'm gonna run over there.
Right.
Like, okay, cool. It's like, oh, dude, I found a sweet gun. Oh, that's awesome, man. And it's just like, yeah, dude, it's like high fives, right? It's like verbal high fives are going on, but like, if you were to play this game in real life with like,
shit, dude,
like, give me that fucking gun, and then you're just like, no, I found this, and they're like, yo, you didn't even help with us, bro. Like, you're finna get kicked. It'd be a lot of that, or a lot of.
You took the last gun, dude. What the fuck?
A lot of racial epithets.
Dude, you took the last gun, dude. You got all the loot, dude. That'd be wild. I want to see the audio from a game of Fortnite streamed on, like what they would put for that on the thing. That would be hilarious, because none of that is what's being said. Not even close.
Fake people online of all time.
Not even close.
If it was real, they would have at least one kid on there,
right,
who's just flaming people. just like voice clip where he's just like, for a PC player, you're not even good. You're not even good. You're the fifth best player, and you're on PC. You're trash. And just be a lot of that going on. And like,
that would.
It'd be barking dogs.
If somebody came with real audio, like, I mean, you take a snippet that doesn't have anything too bad in it, but some real audio, I'd flex.
It'd be a baby crying in the background.
Right.
It'd be someone just
garbage. Somebody's mic is trash.
Like, someone just taking a long toke, and you're just like, this is what. If they show that, then I'm like, oh.
What is this game?
Real gamers
what is this game? This is real. They got real gamers on there.
Real people say someone's literally got a bowl in front of, like.
I mean, or unless you're showing a competitive game and you show like a team's audio.
That's the only way.
Like that would be, like I said, because they're not talking about, if you're trying to win, they're not talking about bullshit.
Right.
So they're like blah 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 call outs, whatever, doing stuff like that. Then I would take that more in your game than otherwise. I don't need your game audio. Just show me them running around. Me and my friends talk about. We're talking about. We're not even talking about the game, dude. You don't want to know what we're talking
Discords
about.
Discords are generally stay away from the public now.
Right. So it's like that's what you should show. Something like that. Like, basically, I mean, and that's probably what they're trying to show off, but your game's not competitive. You're playing against AI. No one's talking like that against AI. No one cares that much. Unless maybe if you're trying to do a raid in Destiny or something like that, maybe. But not really.
I mean, there are times when I've played like Call of Duty's co-op mission modes.
Yeah.
Where there were like call outs and people, but even then it's just a lot of like, game is fucking bullshit, dude. I shot that guy 30 times, and it's like,
right.
Nobody's doing that on stage. If someone does that on stage, then everybody's kind of like,
if they did that, somebody's like, oh, this game is bullshit. I tried to do it 30 times. I'm like, oh, this might be a game I want to play. Like realistically, like, oh, they got real people playing this. This is real talk. I can relate to that.
But yeah, it is better to have just a pre-recorded show. Nintendo's been doing their what do they call them?
Nintendo Directs.
Nintendo Directs, which are wonderful. PlayStation has theirs. They just started doing them last year.
Yeah.
Um,
or did I say PlayStation Direct? Oh no, Nintendo Direct.
you said Nintendo Direct.
I said Nintendo Direct. I think that, like they do like a PlayStation Direct or something like that.
It's just I think it's called like the
Clubhouse. I think.
PS Clubhouse or PS
No,
Show.
the Clubhouse is a Nintendo thing too. I thought.
Well, there's yes and no.
I thought the Clubhouse was a Nintendo thing.
PlayStation
as well.
has their own show.
Yeah, they have their own like side
show
shows
or something like that. But it's basically just a show that Nintendo's been doing quarterly, or I think it's quarterly or once a month.
I mean, and Xbox does like they're not necessarily own pre-recorded shows. Xbox, like at least from what I've seen, does a lot more. Like they have, I forget what the show is called, but they do it often. Like I've seen it more. Like I'm subscribed to PlayStation and fucking Xbox on YouTube, and I've seen like Xbox go live with their like whatever show they do. I know they do one in like Brazil or some Mexico or somewhere. Like they do like their show like that, like almost annually, and they have like their other intermediate shows. I don't see a lot of shows coming from PlayStation. Like realistic, I see like the game trailers,
and it's usually before big games
drop. But I don't see like I don't see like general just them engaging content like that.
Yeah.
Which may be a thing. I mean, for them to not want to seem like Nintendo, and really in that aspect that they're just not doing it like that.
But that's just to say that they're going to have a show coming up in about 2 weeks. So like way before E3, which is crazy because they had already announced they're not going to be at E3 this year, and for them to drop the PS5 specs on their own in 2 weeks, that's a big move. So it's kind of interesting. Right now, E3 only has, and as of last year, it was the same way, Microsoft, which is gonna, I guess they're still doing a show.
Yep.
And then it's the game companies, Ubisoft, Bethesda, which is like atrocious. Last year was just terrible, and that's because of Fallout 76.
Them boys like, hey, you like Fallout 76? It's a Fallout 76 Battle Royale. Boy, I was like,
people were like,
what
are you doing?
If they were memeing, that would have been amazing. But they weren't memeing, and sad boy hours.
They're just really not in. It seems like they're just not in touch with the audience.
Right.
And the whole attitude was like, you're wrong.
Right.
The game is good.
I mean, and that's the thing. Is the other part too. I see like of people, like people play the game and they go back, and I'm like, but why? Like when you, or especially like with the like special edition or like with subscription service they have, and like your class warfare almost, with people like who don't have it, or like going after the people who do have it type stuff, and the bugs and stuff in the game where people can literally like, oh hey, there are bugs in the game where somebody can take your entire inventory, so you just take the inventory of the guy who has the thing, or who has a special edition. Like why would you do that?
That game launched like one of the worst in the last like 10 years.
Yeah,
but it doesn't, I mean, it's a buggy game. Fallout 4 was a buggy game.
Right.
And then it doesn't this game off of that. So.
Right. And I mean, and then you launch this game because I want to say that they had started designing this so early that they didn't even start with Fallout 4 when they were making this.
That's weird.
Like it's because like the engine they use, my friends talk to me about this all the time. Like, the game engine they use is from like an MMO a long time ago, and they've used it for a really, really long time. So like the Fallout 76 has bugs that like Fallout 3 had. Like they've used the engine so long, it has
like
those
bugs that got fixed in Fallout 4
right
that are present in this because it's legitimately older,
right,
built off an older engine. And
that's the other thing. Like they were talking about like them not changing the engine between like, for I'm not sure what their at least main Bethesda Softworks, who makes the Fallout and the Elder Scrolls games. Their the next title that they released is supposed to be Starfield, and I'm pretty sure Starfield is going to be using the same engine. And then, as far as we know, the next Elder Scrolls game, Elder Scrolls 6, is supposed to use the same engine as well. It's like, I don't like, you guys have been in the game long enough to like, or not even been in the game long enough. You own studios with engines like big Bethesda. I forget what the Bethesda Softworks is the game company. There's a Bethesda above them that owns ZeniMax, id, all that type of stuff. You had an id engine. There are several.
It is for Doom.
Yeah.
For those that don't know, which released 2 great games in the last 5 years.
Right.
Doom and Doom Eternal are actually phenomenal.
Or Doom Eternal hasn't come out yet.
Well, I mean,
That's
the
come out,
early
come out
reviews
tomorrow.
I've seen.
Hey, sorry,
They
we're
released
from the future.
a different
We're from the
game
future.
recently.
I'm
so it
sorry.
doesn't matter.
What's the future? You're supposed to know that.
What? I'm in the future.
Huh?
I was
What's
supposed to say that.
But and I don't doubt Doom Eternal will be great, and I don't doubt it. The multiplayer in their first Doom wasn't particularly good, and I don't know what they're gonna do, like resolve that. I guess it's just different. Like it didn't play like the story played, and that's just what hurt it the most.
Oh, they released original Doom up-resed. That's all it was
Okay,
for all the old heads.
I got
And
you.
people like it. I mean, it's just old
Oh,
Doom.
oh, yeah.
It just got retextured skins.
Doom is probably the most ported game, period. Like
Yeah.
you like to talk about like Skyrim getting released a billion times, which pretty sure Skyrim has at least 6 different release years to go like all the editions that they dropped on different stuff. But Doom is probably the most ported. They got Doom on a printer, dude. Fucking nothing. It's nothing. And Bethesda or more back to the companies going to be at E3. EA is going to be there doing whatever they're doing. I imagine EA is going to show off another Star Wars game, whatever else they have in the pipe. As far as that is concerned, I'm hoping for something generally a little bit more mass appeal than a Dark Souls type, the Soulsborne type game. Maybe action adventure, RPG even possibly. Hopefully, I mean that's what I'm looking and hoping for. I really wonder what else they're gonna end up showing off. Last year for them, showed off. What was it? Name of the game. Anthem, and Anthem was a bad.
Ooh.
Was a bad.
Wish I had 4
Right.
hands. I can give that 4 thumbs down.
Right. It's like I thought Anthem came out before Fallout 76. No, I think Fallout 76 came out first, but it was like Anthem like dropped the ball, but it's still like at least I don't know Fallout 76. Like it's like you it was I don't even know what to do with that. So they're gonna have to do something big next year, more than likely.
Bethesda?
No. EA. We're talking about EA now.
Oh, EA?
EA is
Man,
Anthem.
EA is perpetually, like, ever since the days when people were like, EA is the most corrupt company on planet
Oh, it's
Earth.
just the worst. Just they got voted the worst company
Since they got voted the worst
in America.
it
2
doesn't
years in a
matter
row.
what they do now. Like, it's a meme of itself.
Right.
So even if they release a game that might be decent, which has yet to happen, then it'll still be like getting flamed. Like,
Oh yeah.
like
And
Fallen
I think
Order
that's-
is a good game, but it's buggy. It still got release rushed. It's buggy. Battlefront.
Battlefront 2 now. Battlefront 2 now is
Battlefront
nice.
2 got updated,
Is
and
nice
now it's good.
It's nice now. Yeah.
But when it came
Battlefront
out,
2,
that
if-
game was garbage, bro.
If you didn't play Battlefront 2, I highly suggest
thing
it.
is-
Battlefront 2 is great.
The thing is, these games aren't built terribly. They're
Right.
rushed. And then the stuff that the big EA, gets involved in is always the monetary bullshit of microtransactions or just putting stuff in the game that don't necessarily need to be there.
Right.
They can make another quick buck. And it's like, I understand business, whatever. You're losing money if you don't put these systems in. But here's the thing. Like, maybe make the game high quality first and then worry
Right.
about charging people
Right.
extra money.
It's like if the game, like, I mean, and I think that's
Looking at you,
really goes to
FIFA,
like
freaking series sucks.
what
Okay,
what
FIFA,
series?
EA
FIFA.
also
Oh
makes, like,
yeah. Oh, FIFA Ultimate Team. Yeah, they milk nickel and dime people to death with that stuff. The
bunch of
I mean,
Stockholm
and
syndrome
even going
idiots.
like people always talk about like making like good games and people like buying the games and you just make money off that. Was like the Witcher series, like, or at least the Witcher 3 primarily, probably the Witcher series. I mean, but when you get like a game that was made before people were doing like microtransactions in games, it's like
Because they
it's
say
kind of hard
Project
to
Red
even
is-
talk about that when
it's
you're
different.
before the people are even doing that. And I mean, this is like the only little thing I'm going to say on this because I don't even want to jump off this cliff talking about people and like what they like about what versions they like and dislike about game monetization. Because people for the longest were like, "Oh my god, I don't want DLCs. I want expansion passes." And like, "Oh, I don't want expansion passes. I want DLCs. Oh, I don't want microtransactions. I want this." People don't know. People know what they want.
I mean,
They're gonna complain about literally whatever they get.
They will.
Like 9 times out of 10, like there are some microtransactions, like the microtransaction that was supposed to be in Battlefront 2 when it was coming out, straight pay to win, bad, hard bad. There's no, there's no other way about that. But like a lot of other things, people don't know, because there are games that have microtransactions that aren't in general aren't relatively predatory. I mean, depending on how you are and how you spend money with games, like they're not really gating off content or whatever behind a paywall or anything like that. And if you don't buy anything, you're not at a disadvantage to any other player in the game type stuff. You have things like skin, like Path of Exile, like that has a really great thing. Though some people would argue like you can buy stash tabs, and some people would argue that having more stash space is an advantage and stuff like that. But it was like, realistically, there are some people who play, like there is ability in the game for players to have leagues where you don't have your stash at all. You can only carry what you can put in your character inventory. So there are back and forths of that depending on how serious you are about the game. So people don't know what they want realistically. There are some games that have completely predatory like things like FIFA and like a lot of the sports games do. Freaking 2K20 put a straight slot machine in that thing. What? Like a straight
they
slot
have the
machine.
VC points, which is like it could make your character like you dump VC points, which are also attribute points. And it's like, what are you doing, man? Like, so you are making this pay to win to a certain degree. Like, oh, but you have to hit a certain amount, and then it just stops, and then you have to progress in the game to unlock like more
the ability to do that again.
Yeah, essentially. But it's like, okay,
yeah. No, dude.
It's usually, I would say, sports games, but EA is one of the bigger companies and the bigger perpetrator of said transactions. So
they made in 2K got smart to it, so they're trying to do it as well. 2K isn't usually at E3. They never are like Rockstar. They're the developer for Rockstar. They're not usually at E3 doing anything, and Rockstar's never there. 2K usually isn't. I don't think 2K is usually there either.
No, it's always been, like I said, last
Ubisoft,
few years, Ubisoft,
EA.
Bethesda, EA.
And then a lot of other smaller studios does things.
All
I mean,
stuff.
a lot of them try to do their thing through the bigger press conferences when they can.
Xbox
get more
usually
eyes.
has the bigger indie trailers. Sony will have their indie trailers as well.
I mean, and I still imagine that. I mean, I guess like Sony parting with E3 being like almost a weird thing, because Nintendo is like doesn't have a show, but they're still like happening the same weekend type stuff, because this is when people are doing whatever they're reporting and everything like that. So it makes sense to like, you may not be there, but you still have whatever show you're going to show during that time. Like you pick a block out of the schedule and then just still do your thing.
I don't know.
And people schedule around you because you're so big. Like, where Microsoft, like, they do, like, separate days for a lot of stuff. And, like, yeah, people schedule around you because, Sony's streaming their show right now. I don't want to be anywhere near, like, trying to put my show on at the same time because no one's going to be watching me. Like, so you still have the ability to do that.
Yeah. I'm just, like I said, I'm more excited for software than hardware anymore anyways. There was a day when E3 was the thing where I would block off my own time on the weekend and just sit and watch the streams.
Yeah.
I don't anymore. I haven't in the last 3 years. Not that E3... I mean, it is also that E3 has not as interesting anymore.
Right.
But it's just like, once I started realizing that it's more for industry, that's kind of when I started checking out. And like, I follow a lot more YouTubers who will analyze it or who will come up with a better picture of what came out of it.
Right.
Essentially, so I don't have to watch and just be on the hype train, because realistically, that's all it is. For everybody that watches, it's just, let's get on the hype train and hype
train cringe fest.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's people get on stage doing cringy stuff, and it's people clapping and hooting and hollering for stuff.
I wonder if Beyond Good and Evil 2 is going to come out this year.
Dying Light 2 got pushed back, delayed.
Yeah, so everything that was supposed to come out early this year that I cared about got pushed.
Yep. So
Cyberpunk, Masquerade, Bloodlines 2, and Dying Light 2 all got pushed.
Yep.
So I'm just like, I think the Marvel game is still on, and people are, all right, the
Marvel game got
too?
pushed back.
Dang, everything got pushed.
Anything that's a Square Enix title got pushed back because Marvel got pushed back, Final Fantasy 7 got pushed back, and Dying Light is also. I didn't know it was Square Enix, but that also got pushed back. So
Okay, that was okay, it must be because Techland is a studio that developed it. It wasn't must publish it, and then they may push.
Square Enix is becoming a bigger publisher because they have Crystal Dynamics now, which makes Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm waiting for that next
Everything got pushed
Last
to the
of Us
right,
trailer, and then next Uncharted trailer, and then next God of War, and Horizon Zero Dawn
Right.
2. So, or Marvel Spider-Man 2.
Oh yeah, that too.
We got plenty of IPs to look forward to in the future. I'm pretty hype. So, regardless of if it's at one show in E3 or not, and I do recommend and highly encourage anybody who has the opportunity to go to these shows in person, go do that. Watching them at home is one thing that where I'm like, I have an opinion as far as like, you can watch everything in the day after. Like
Right.
on YouTube, you can catch the stuff that you care about, which is what I've been doing recently. But like, if you have an opportunity to go in person, it's vastly different.
Yeah, and I definitely recommend going to not necessarily E3, but like PAX or something like that, where they're doing a lot more stuff. They like do some game stuff, but it's like a lot more diversified in what's going on.
Yeah.
So it's like you can interact with people. Like there's booths for other stuff, and it's not all just game stuff.
And you'll see like when you go to one that the experience is different as far as like AAA titles versus indie titles too.
Right.
Which is cool. When I went to Tokyo Game Show back in 2015, which is the Japanese version of E3, like Gamescom is the European version of E3, or GDC, Games Development Conference.
Oh yeah.
Like I went to that and I stood in line outside, waited to get in. Once I got in, it was just more standing in queues to play different games that aren't out yet, which was like exciting. But then you kind of realize like it loses its veneer after you've been standing in a line for 20 minutes to play 5, maybe 3 minutes of a video game.
Right.
That's not going to come out for months. Or even playing games that are already out but on like weird hardware. Like what was it? I played a bunch of anime games. A lot of Japanese games are just like they're different. They're not like AAA titles here.
Yeah.
And then
Visual novel.
I played Monster Hunter, which was wild. And then
Oh yeah.
Battlefront had a huge stage. It was Battlefront before the first Battlefront dropped, and it was huge. I couldn't even. They stopped me from recording twice. Tried to get away with it twice, and they had a competition going on stage that you can actually put your name in. They would pull you, and you go on stage and play on PC with 7 other people, 4 and 4.
Okay.
So that was awesome. But it was the indie developers that I like really had a good time hanging out with, because what you go do is usually it's in a different part of the floor, even if it might even been in a different building like it was at Tokyo Game Show. Go over there, the indie developers standing next to their game, because they are the advertisement for their game. They are the usually sole developer, and it's a lot of it. I mean, just based because it's indie, it's like a lot of it is like derivative,
Right.
but it's original to a certain degree too, and it's fun, and it's like the developer's there, and he's so eager to like show you stuff about the game, not necessarily like
it's a passion project for them. It's not.
Yeah, exactly. You can feel the heart in all of the games, and it's not just like
this is just they threw money in the machine and this is what came out.
Yeah, it's not like the graphics, you're not worried about stuff like that. You're looking at the game for what it is. And the guy's explaining, I played a bunch of platformers. The guy was just like standing there and he's like so happy to like answer questions. Like, "Oh man, like how did you do these like fluid animations?" And he's like, "Oh, it took so much time." He's like, "But like me and my buddy, like we worked on this like night and day, and like we were so happy when we finally got it working." He's like, "We have like 5 levels right now." He's like, "We're trying to really, and it's like they're sitting there explaining everything to you, and they're showing you stuff in the game too. Like, "Oh, we put secrets in, so like if you do this, this, and this, like try this real quick." And you're like, "Oh, that's awesome." And like there's so much more out of that. And I think that's the experience that if you're if you really love games and you want to go to one of these conventions, Brian's right. Try PAX East, try PAX West.
Right.
Try these Southwest, whichever ones they have now. Just go to one of those where you get to sit down with the indie developers and actually try their game one-on-one to because those are the booths where you're gonna have the most fun at, and you're gonna get the most insight, and that really connects you to the gaming industry on a personal level.
Right.
That's where you'll find like, man, I actually love video games. Like, it's not just something I
Or-
do in my room with random strangers online and get yelled at. It's like there's something here. There's like that heart and that childhood nostalgia is there.
Yeah, and then that's definitely like a way to get in touch with more of the soul of gaming, specifically game development. But and I think that's the thing you'll see going forward. Like the like, I'm not saying the curtain is falling, but as you've seen, even with this generation, with a lot of AAA titles, like we talked about Ubisoft and like their like there's a Blackout, I think is the name of the game, being like not good. Like the curtain is like, or an EA not releasing anything particularly really good in a minute. It's like indie developers are what's taking gaming, is going to like grab gaming and take it forward. Where you have there are studios who like they have the proper leads and people they've been working with for a long time that can get it done, but it's not like you're not gonna slap together a studio and then AAA them and then let them do whatever. Like if they don't have the vision already, they're not going to get it. Like even like with BioWare. BioWare is probably has been one of my favorite developers for the longest, but they've been falling by the wayside for a long time.
Yeah.
So it's just like that investment from EA, company changing, like that stuff, that type of stuff, and it's you can see it. It's visible in the product you're getting. People loving Fallout 3 and New Vegas, and New Vegas was done by Obsidian, and Obsidian making Outer Worlds, which I was a fan of, kind of short really on the game side, but I mean it was made as an indie game. It was made like and published through Private Division, which I'm pretty sure is 2K's like indie development thing. So that was like a central thing for them. It was meant to be an indie game, but it was still good, like a good RPG. Like, oh man, why couldn't Fallout 4 have been more like this type thing? Or like that's where the like great games are going to come from. Almost not necessarily studios who've been churning out games for forever, but I'm not sure what Guerrilla made before. Horizon Zero Dawn, but like that game's coming out like that, where you have someone's project that they put their heart and soul into and get something out of it on the end, or people who generally aren't afraid to take risks, like they did with God of War, like going from what God of War used to be to basically grounding the player and bringing like, oh, this is what I'm trying to show you now.
Right.
Like that is going to be a lot more what you get, not the annual churn it out whatever type of game. That's I think on the whole that is going to be going away.
I mean, people are gonna vote with their dollars,
right?
So.
And I mean, and that's the way of that. And even when people say like that, like people say they're boycotting whatever, or vote with your wallet and stuff like that. And even when I see that online for someone who dislikes something for whatever reason, it's like people's like vote with your wallet. It's like everyone does literally every day, but they may not vote the way you want them to with their wallets, right. but they do that every day realistically. And some people may like this type of game, you might not like it at all. Like me, I'm not a particular fan of battle royales, but I can understand the appeal, especially for like streamers and stuff like that. That's great content you want to watch. I like slower, more methodical games, whether they're 4Xs and stuff like that. But they're boring to watch. Like realistically, it's like I wouldn't watch somebody play Stellaris, but I love like sinking mad hours in Stellaris. But I wouldn't watch somebody play it because unless they're showing me something I don't know how to do. Realistically, there's no real point to that, and I can get that from a YouTube video. I want to like watch a stream or something like that. And I think that's the other thing too about E3. They're supposed to be turning it into like a influencer show, and that's oh man,
crap! I forgot about that. I remember hearing about that, and that made everybody kind of like cringe when they read it.
Big yikes! So that just means the cringe factor goes up
like
several fold.
Whose dad?
Right.
Whose dad came in and tried to rewrite
and then you
E3?
Look at the conference. You like really what does you as E3? What do you do? Like. You don't control what's in development, how it's presented realistically. So it's like, you do what? I mean, I wouldn't go the influencer route necessarily, but streaming is gigantic now, though.
Yeah.
Like that's undeniable. But I don't know if I go the influencer route with my show. Streaming is really undeniable at this point. So I mean, I'm not trying to necessarily have Ninja at my New Year celebration with a bunch of people who basically didn't come here to see Ninja. Like that's a different thing. Like if Ninja's going to be somewhere and people are coming to see Ninja, then bam, you're here, great, everything. But like that was just a situation where Ninja just got up there. I mean, they paid him to come. Obviously, he didn't just like show up like, hey, I want to get on stage. Like they paid him to be there, but the people down there weren't.
Well, there's definitely
weren't people for him. Yeah,
from a business perspective, where someone who's putting on the show is like, see how much people loved Keanu Reeves last year.
Right.
It's like. Yeah, but like that
was more organic than anything.
Exactly.
Like, we love Keanu Reeves already.
He came out and he's in the game. So like people are like, that's awesome, he's in the game. People love Keanu Reeves right now.
Right.
And then he came out on stage, it's like, okay, cool, he's in the game, he's on stage,
you're
he's
breathtaking. No, you're breathtaking.
But then him doing that wasn't like a business person's decision.
Right. That was completely organic. The chick, I can't remember. She's Japanese.
Quote unquote cute girl.
Yeah.
Who's explaining
Japanese,
her game?
Yeah, fucking for what is it? Ghost Tokyo.
Ghost of Tsukushima.
I probably think Tokyo Ghoul or something like that. Like that for that game, she's like spooky, fucking tens. There were probably there are hundreds of cringe moments during E3, obviously, but the things people pulled out really were that lady, Keanu Reeves, and the dog that came out with John Bernthal.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing is like, those are always the moments that have been lauded in E3 history that aren't necessarily cringy. Like Shigeru Miyamoto-san coming out there and doing his thing and like butchering English, like that's always going to be awesome. Reggie Fils-Aimé coming out there and just being himself pretty much and just being like,
Reggie's
we're going to play Smash, and people, well, yeah, now, but like
Bowser's there now.
Yeah,
that guy's like completely completely natural. That guy's name was just Bowser.
But people loved him coming on stage and just doing his thing. And that stuff is all organic. It wasn't a business decision. Yeah. He really is a businessman, and he's a PR guy, and came out there and he was just like, I like playing video games. Right. Just like, cool, dude.
America.
I'm
no
glad.
Johns.
And he was just genuine about it. It wasn't like, it didn't feel forced. And like, Phil Spencer doesn't really like, he's your like
uncle. He's your uncle who still plays video games.
Uncle,
like, it's strange.
He's like your older, like pre-millennial Gen Zer who's like comes out in a blazer and a t-shirt, a gaming t-shirt, and you're like,
he's come on a blazer. He uses like a jacket on. He's almost like
a blazer.
Like Jensen.
It's usually a blazer and a gaming t-shirt, like a graphic tee.
Oh, I have to look it up. But I usually sort of like a jacket, almost like, I think I'm almost like Jensen for Nvidia. How Jensen's known for his like leather jacket his black leather jacket that he always wears everywhere.
Look, you can idolize Phil Spencer as much as you want, but at the end of the day, he's
still a corporate man.
He's a corporate
still the enemy.
Dude. He doesn't like, Reggie is corporate, but he doesn't feel like it. It feels like that boss you want to work for. And then yeah, you have other people who just come on stage, and like PlayStation has never had anybody who's like not a robot, like my belief. So they've never
dude,
hit that.
But the like America PlayStation dude is, I'm like, man, you are corporate as fuck.
Those are the most, even the Japanese dudes are like the most salarymen.
Yeah,
like they come out suit and tie, like 皆さんどうぞよろしくお願いします, and it's just like it's
it's real.
So like bow 1,000 times.
Right.
Here's the software. Here's the new game. The only time that they had like real personality was during the DRM fiasco. When
when they were making those videos,
they were like, did you know PlayStation can play a game and you can sell the game and give it to your friend? And it's like,
so this is how like a thing postcard comes up of how to share games on PlayStation 4. And
that was the most. I was like, oh, that's pretty savage, bro. Like
I mean, that was as like, that's how easy Microsoft made it to fucking dunk on them. Like,
and that shit felt so last minute.
You get to meme like hardcore, and it was just like, that was it.
You could tell someone was like, yo, did they know prior to, or did they just like like make that just now.
Right. They're like you could tell that
He
was
was
made like
making
on the spot. 'Cause the
PowerPoint.
dude like didn't have his jacket on, didn't have his tie on. He's like trying to be as casual as he could in his business suit to do that. Like, yeah, dude, it's
You
wild.
can give it the game to a friend, and he can play. This is how you share the game. You buy the game, you own it. The game, it is yours.
Oh shit.
That's my best. I think it's Hiroku Sanada. I can't say for sure who is the PlayStation
Uh-oh.
dude because he's a robot like everybody else that works over there.
Robot.
He's Robot-san. Mr. Roboto.
Son.
So,
Yeah. But anyway, that's. I don't know if we have anything else. We talked to BS about game consoles and stuff. Just BS about this all day, realistically. But yeah, the next console cycle is going to be interesting. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to E3, next conferences. Looking forward to if a couple weeks, Sony show will be definitely to follow up on that.
Yeah.
If they do release something,
we'll have something.
We'll at least mention it. It'll be
week.
news.
Yeah.
If nothing else. Yeah, I think that's all we got for this week.
Yeah, that's all I had.
Yep. So I'm Brian.
I'm Chris.
We'll catch you guys next time.
Yeah.
Peace.